Hello and welcome to National League Lowdown. I'm Craig and I'll be your host today because Dan is currently on a cruise around the Canary Islands for the next 10 days. So a little bit warmer than he's used to in Carlisle. Today I'm joined by Mark. How are you, Mark? Are you well?
Aloha, everybody. Yes, coming off the back of Mac winning 1-0 in the FA Trophy against Prescott Cables, a very laboured or laborious game, however you want to look at it. But no, looking forward to the trophy draw tomorrow afternoon at 3:15.
Absolutely. And we're joined by Louis as well today. Another good win for Sutton yesterday, mate. We'll obviously be covering that one shortly. Turning the tide, it feels like.
Yeah, all good. Looking positive from us at the moment. Looking forward to tucking into that, and all the other National League games that went on this weekend.
Excellent. Before we start our deep dive, obviously we haven't got any guests with us today. We're just going to mention we have had some player specials recently. We've had Max Joliffe of Yeovil and Frank Newble on from Gateshead. So if you're interested in any of the player specials, look back through the YouTube and Spotify for them and give us a like and subscribe. But we're going to start at York City. York City 4, Morecambe 2. Louis, what are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, we're going into this game, it was the best attack against the worst defence. So I think a lot of goals were expected. I think a lot of people predicted York to get them, which obviously they got them, but Morecambe put on a bit of a show as well. Obviously took the lead twice. York had to come back in it twice. First one was a penalty from Aziz. It's a bit of a ridiculous challenge from Mail. I don't know whether either of you have seen it, basically trying to fly kick the bloke or punch his head off, basically. Poor guy was out cold, I think he was, so he didn't step up. I think was it I can't remember who was in the end of the challenge, but I think he usually takes the penalties, doesn't he?
Yeah, Joe Nuttall.
Yeah, so as he stepped up and stuck it away, but York were on top before that. I think a couple of good saves from Blackman, and it looked like York were going to take the lead. And I think Maynard said in his post match that they could have been, 4 or 5 up at half time. But credit to Morecambe, they obviously put up a bit of a fight. And it was a well-worked goal for York's first as well. It was lovely play from Banks on the right-hand side, who flipped it to the back post, and they equalised. And yeah, credit to York. They did as they usually do. They get their attacking stats up, they got their attempts up, and they eventually ground Morecambe down. And yeah, managed to get the defensive errors in as they usually do, Morecambe. And yes, the 4th game in a row now where York has scored 4 goals. So really impressive for them. They're flying. From a Morecambe perspective, obviously they said ages ago that their time to judge them was October. That time is now gone. We can now judge them. I think it's time that they need to make a change. It's going on far too long now. They've tried many different players. They've added so many different players to their squad, and it just isn't working for them. There's no doubt that, as we're seeing, is obviously a good coach. But I don't think being a good coach makes you a good manager. And I think for Morecambe, they really, really need to look inwards and start making a decision soon, because otherwise they could suffer back-to-back relegations. And I think that could be huge problems for the club.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I fully agree with you there. I think it is time for change, but they're coming to Braintree in about 14 days, so they can wait till after that, because we've suffered from the new manager bounce a few times this season already. But yeah, I'll cover this one next. As you said, it was a ridiculous challenge from Harrison Mal, which actually put Callum Howe, his own centre half, out the game for concussion, and concussion protocols he'll probably miss at least next weekend as well. So a big blow for them there. But yeah, their depth up front, when Pearson Stones had to turn providers rather than scorers, and they've still scored 4, as you said, they seem to be making a habit of this, that they're absolutely flying at the moment and possibly are the main form team in this league at the moment. And a couple of weeks ago, I said they need to get a bit of a run together. Yourself, Louis, mentioned the fiction and said this is the time for them to do it. And they seem to be doing that at the moment. We said about how they usually win by 4 or score 4 goals and then they've drawn a game. Well, now it's been 3 comfortable 4-something games in the road as well, where they've looked really comfortable. Granted, Morecambe started strong in this game and obviously took the chances when they come along, but it did still feel like it was always going to be a York win. Whereas 6 weeks ago, this could have easily been a 1-1 draw, and then we're going, York are dropping points again. But they seem to have turned that corner there, and they're flying up the table. And when teams around them are dropping points like 3 of them did yesterday, it was a very good weekend for them. Mark, anything you want to add on this one?
Yeah, it goes to show the strength and the depth of York's squad when Josh Stones and Ollie Pearce don't get on the score sheet, yet they still score 4 goals. I mean, Morecambe, they did go into that lead through Aziz, and of course Ben Tollett, the ex-Mac winger. He also got on the score sheet. I mean, Aziz got sent off right at the end as well, which won't help Morecambe in the grander scheme of things. But the goal for Fagan Walcott was pretty good. I mean, then Ollie Banks getting a run out. He seems to have been not quite the fans' favourite, but hopefully he's putting in the performance that'll help turn the tide on that one. And Fallowfield with a goal that somebody described as Marco van Basten in 1988. Let's not get silly here, kids. Come on. Was it a cross? Was it a shot? It certainly wasn't on the volley.
What are you going for, Mark? Are you going cross or shot?
A speculative cross shot. There you go.
Off the inside of his foot as well.
Yeah,
so it's fairly impressive in terms of how he's done it.
It's certainly, you look at that and go and look at Van Basten's goal from 1988 against Russia, and they are nowhere near identical. So get that thought out your head. But yeah, York looking like proper champions at the moment, and I know it's early to say, but that's what teams are made of when your top two goal scorers don't get on the score sheet, as I pointed to. Morecambe, as Louis said, it's not looking good for them, and there's going to be some games that will probably decide old Rav Singh's fate. Otherwise, it's National League North for the Morecambe boys.
Absolutely, and linking back to your champions comment, we're now going to go to current top of the league. They've gone there yesterday after the results. Forest Green. Would you like to start us on this one, Mark?
Why not? They're doing exactly what some people might be expecting them to do. I did read Robbie Savage's comments afterwards. 20 players. They brought in 20 players. It's just amazing, and the people are going. They're a surprise at the top of the table. Well, yeah, look who they brought in. Though I mean, they brought in, quality. Laurent Mendy. Everybody knows I'm a massive fan of Laurent Mendy. I'm a massive fan of Nick Horton as well, who they brought in from Fylde. But the players who are all still there, Kyle McAllister. He's one of the very, very best out there. He's playing out of his skin. And they've got players like Jaden Clark, Babalola, who they signed from Worthing. He got on the score sheet. But do excuse me on the pronunciation of Bayabu. Well, it's pronounced like that now. And Gateshead, they'll probably be glad that this game is over, because say what you want about Robbie Savage, and indeed I have, he's got them flying. He has got them flying. You cannot start to pick apart what he's done there. Yes, he might have spent some money, but he's done it in bringing in the right players.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I'll continue on this one. I think Forest Green looked very comfortable. We wrote down that it's a fairly easy, routine home win. Gateshead were probably architects their own downfall, losing the ball in silly positions, and Forest Green kind of jumping ahead. I've seen on Twitter that even Gateshead fans were saying this could have easily been 5 or 6. So getting out of their 3-1 was almost damage limitation, with a fantastic goal from Jacob Butterfield at the end. Again, Robbie Savage, when they're winning, is really aligned with that crowd. And he had Temi Babaloba singing "Temi's on fire" with the fans, and that striker just must be walking off that pitch at the end, feeling $1 million that he's got the whole crowd and his manager fully behind him. It can look a little bit cringy at times, but that striker, I imagine, is feeling $1 million, and the ball bounces to him in the next game, he's probably gonna dispatch it. So yeah, they're on good form at the moment. They're doing really, really well, and yeah, they've gone to the summit again. Last time they went to the summit, they did have a little wobble, so maybe they're going to grow into it a little bit more. And for them, hopefully they stay there. For us, hopefully it keeps changing and it'll be a brilliant title race. Louis, anything you want to add on to this game?
Yeah, it was a typical sort of relentless attacking football from Forest Green. I saw they had 31 shots, and according to SofaScore, they got 4.89 XG racked up as well. So pretty impressive from Forest Green. Gateshead did have 1 or 2 chances in the first half, and I think when you go away to Forest Green, you just have to take your chances. Kane Dom had a shot pushed onto the post, I think it was. But yeah, it was all sort of one-way traffic after that. Butterfield's goal was a bit of a cracker at the end, sort of dipping and swerving, and went into the back in there. But I'm quite concerned for Gateshead at the moment. I think it's 10 points from the last 42 available. And those 2 wins that they picked up have come against Braintree and Morecambe, which albeit are good results at the bottom of the table, because those are the teams that you want to get above and stay above. But they're really struggling at the moment. And we talked about how York share their goals around. Forest Green obviously do the same thing, but I think Gateshead are quite reliant on Kane Dom. Obviously, we've mentioned before how much of a good start to the season he's had. 36% of Gateshead's goals have been Kane Dom. And he's got them 7 points, and if those 7 points weren't there, they'd be bottom of the league. So I really am a bit concerned about them. Obviously, it's a good thing for us, both Braintree and Sutton, having a team to catch. But for Gateshead fans, I'd be very worried at the moment.
Yeah, completely agree. As you said, there seems to be some teams that are spiralling down the table. Them, Yeovil, and probably Aldershot are the ones that me and you especially are looking at as hoping it continues, because it will help us get out of that relegation zone. But yeah, they're definitely one to watch, and maybe not for the best reasons at the moment. The next 2 games we're going to cover are probably, if you probably would say this first one would be the shock of the day, but then I reckon it was trumped by the one afterwards. So we'll come to that one next. So Tamworth, well worth the win at Boreham Wood. So Louis, do you want to take the start on this one?
Yeah, it's shock. I think this is the shock of the weekend. Obviously, Tamworth on a bit of a sticky patch at the moment. Wood had the better chances in the opening game. Sousa hit the bar. There looked to be a bit of an offside in the opening goal for Rush from Abdul Malak. But it's 12 goals in 11 games for Rush now, so he's just finding the back of the net every game pretty much. He's in such hot form. And yeah, Tamworth came back into it. Is a typical away performance from Tamworth. Singh, our friend, had to pull up a number of good saves in goal, and it's sort of an ultimate counter attack for their winner, from one end to the other. Poor corner from Boreham Wood for that, but yeah, nice finish from Doku in the end. And yeah, they're the kind of team in the league that you just sort of expect them to pull off that result every so often. I read Garrett's post-match, and he said that Tamworth reminded him of what Boreham Wood were a couple of seasons ago. That kind of team that are gritty, go away on the road and pick up a point and pick up a win when you don't expect it. So yeah, credit to Tamworth. Probably they deserve to get something out of the game. Whether it was 3 points is another question. But I think Garrett was slightly disappointed with the way his side performed. But overall, I think obviously Boreham Wood, when you look in perspective where they are in the league, who they've dropped points to already, there's only Hartlepool that they've dropped points to outside of the top 7. So yeah, it's just a small blip for them. I hope that they can put it right. But yeah, cracking 3 points from Tamworth, and I think it's exactly what they need.
Yeah, I was particularly impressed with that winning goal, just the speed of the counter attack. Like you said, Boreham Wood knocking on the door more for the winner, and then Tamworth, I think, in 3 passes, and one of them being a long bowl out from Jazz Singh, passed inside, and then the overlapping run from Doku, and then a calm finish, and obviously second goal of the week. Yeah, they have to ride their luck a little bit, but when you've got the grit, the determination, and everything that Tamworth side have got, you're gonna deserve to be on the right side of them. That's kind of lucky things and riding stuff out from time to time. So yeah, full credit to them, and they're sitting comfortably just in 9th place now. And I talked about them being in my relegation zone going Woods, and they're 16 points above the drop now, and actually only 13 points off the top of the league. So a fantastic position for them to be in. And unfortunately for them, because of the strength of the top 6 at the moment, they're not really going to get the chance of potentially the playoffs, which is a credit to them that they're even in that conversation. But yeah, they're flying when you probably don't expect them to as much. And like you said, they've had some results recently where you'd expect them to win, and it doesn't quite happen for them. And then, like you said, they've lost to Woking and Boston at home recently, where you probably back them in the form they'd been in, and then they go to Boreham Wood and get a win. So yeah, little interesting side note for Tamworth, that you just don't know what you're going to get. Maybe they're the chocolates, as Forrest Gump would say.
I think you need to call them Bloody Nose FC now, because now they can go away and get 3 points from the unexpected.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark, anything to add on this one?
Oh yeah, I mean, this was it may have been not one of the shocking ones, as we'll go on to in a minute. But the biggest result of the weekend is definitely this. I mean, you wouldn't have thought Boreham would have lost at home. I mean, they were celebrating the permanent signing of Zach Brunt from Barnet. Very good piece of business there. But Tamworth, yeah, you can get the good, the bad, and the ugly. You know, they are the Clint Eastwoods of this league. But when you don't know what sort of side Tamworth are going to be on a day, it can be very off-putting, and that must work to Tamworth's advantage time and time again. Manny Ducku, I mean, 2 seasons ago, he was at Hensford Town, banging in goals for them. A lot of eyebrows were raised when he signed for Tamworth, but it's proving to be a very, very good signing. And Matt Rush, yeah, as Louis pointed out, 12 goals in 11 games. I mean, we talk about the firepower that York have, that Forest Green have. Yeah, if it's not Abdul Malik, it's Rush. If it's not Rush, it's Luke Norris. It's quite the choice to make when it comes to a team selection. But yeah, the biggest result of the weekend, without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, and brings us on to quite nicely to the next one, which was another clean sheet in maybe a surprising result for Solihull. A comfortable 3-0 win at home to Scunthorpe, despite having a man sent off. And I'll leave that conversation to Mark because I know he's got some strong thoughts on that one later. But Solihull started really, really well with Tyree Sinclair opening and scoring on after 15. And you feel against Scunthorpe that the first goal is always crucial. And you got to say the goalkeeper got caught in absolute no man's land there, Mahadi. He came rushing out and Sinclair rolled it past him and then rolled it into an empty net. And then the man of the hour, shall we say, Bradley Stevenson, scored another poacher's finish. He seems to be the man that just knows where the back of the net is for them. I think if you think the last 3 goals, and 2 against Braintree and this one, if you add all the distances together, I still don't think you've reached the penalty spot. He just seems to know the right places to be in and around that 6-yard box. And then, obviously, the tide was turned 10 or so minutes later when he's picked up 2 yellow cards. I'll let Mark talk about the reasons behind them 2 yellow cards a little bit more shortly. And you think, Scunthorpe will be coming back into this. But Solihull, as we said, have been very defensively solid. Lots of clean sheets under the new manager. And then Tyler French added a 3rd. And it seems to be a lot more comfortable afternoon for Solihull than anyone expected. I think in our predictions, Louis will correct me if I'm wrong here. I think everyone bar Louis had at least a draw or Scunthorpe getting something, but Louis saw the Solihull win coming here. So, but probably nowhere near as comfortably as this one, to be fair. So a routine win and a bad day for Scunthorpe, but they've had many, many good days this season that if you'd have said to them, you have a bad day at Solihull, but you'd be sitting in the playoffs, they'd have beat your hand off for it. But I'll hand over to Mark now to talk about the Stevenson's cards.
Good God. Wally of the week, Bradley Stevenson. And you know why, young man. Honestly, what's the worst thing you can do after picking up 1 yellow card is to 5 minutes later picking up another one? Dearie me. What was he thinking? I mean, he goes and scores the goal. He scores the second goal after Tyrese Sinclair. He then gets booked for time wasting. Then 5 minutes later, he gets booked again for diving. That is why I will happily call him Wally of the week, because it really spoiled a grandiose performance from Solihull. I don't think even Scunthorpe saw this coming, but it was a stern reminder to Scunthorpe that results like this in this league could happen. But yeah, Bradley Stevenson, come on.
I've only seen the one angle of it though, Mark, the penalty. Do you think he dived or do you think he was fouled? So I'd love to see more angles of it because I think he's foolish to go down there if he hasn't been touched because I think he's around the keeper again. So I'm still on the fence about that one, to be honest with you.
Yeah, but if people aren't sure, if they're going in. If they're going into the penalty box, just keep going. You don't need to throw yourself down to the floor. It's your job. Just keep going. And until you get whacked on the ankles or anything like that, you don't need to do it. But yeah, he's gone from hero to Wally in 10 minutes.
Thankfully not to 0 because they still got the win and the clean sheet.
Oh no, that's Scunthorpe.
So he can just be the Wally this week, not the
Yes,
hero to villain.
hero to
Louis, anything
Wally.
you want to add on this one?
Yeah, I think it was just a bad day all round from Scunthorpe. One, the goalkeeping on the first goal was just, he comes out about, he's going to Zanzibar at some point trying to collect that ball. Yeah, I don't know what he's doing, the goalkeeper. It sort of summed up Scunthorpe. I don't know whether you saw the DAZN highlights, had a corner on the 44th minute, and the player managed to kick the flag, which then obviously set the ball off, rolling towards the Solihull Moors player, and he just picked it up and carried it off. So yeah, bad day at the office for Scunthorpe. I had a look at, obviously we've spoken before about how Whitehall and Roberts. Declan Howe obviously hasn't played as much recently, but he's not scored in 12 matches. Whitehall has got 1 goal in 6 matches, and Patrick Roberts has been on decent goal scoring form, but has been injured recently as well. So maybe a case of
Callum Roberts.
Callum Roberts.
Callum Roberts. Sorry, Patrick Roberts going above the leagues a bit there. So yeah, obviously Sellers Plumbing has come in and chipped a few goals in. But yeah, bit of a concern there, but I think they'll be all right. I believe they've got a fairly easy fixture list next as well, from my memory.
Yeah,
I wonder who they're playing. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, on Solihull, Chris Millington's working his magic again. He obviously did an outstanding job at Halifax. That's 4 home wins out of 5 for them. Like 4 wins out of 5 for them now. 4 home wins on the bounce. 4 clean sheets out of 5 games. 11 goals in 5 games. They're in the top half and they're 6 points off the playoffs. So you can see my thinking into why I predicted Solihull Moors to win. So the stats do work out in the end. They do help you out in the end.
Let's say this about Chris Millington as well. Because as we know, Dan Creaney and Callum McFarlane left the club and they were going, what are they doing getting rid of these strikers? Joe Sabara has come in. Tyrese Sinclair has come in. Sensible signings. So there was a method to the madness there. And if they can get results like this every week, then the Solihull fans wouldn't care if Messi came in. Millington knew what he was doing there, I think, and yeah, it's paying off, but it needs to be consistent to actually show with those signings, but might make a little bit more sense now.
It's
I think it's probably
to Halifax as well, but he's probably got a bigger budget at Solihull, I reckon, as well. Which
Sabara's signing could be the difference.
Yeah.
I think sometimes it's got to be the ones where you've got to get players out before you can get players in.
Yeah,
like you said, I'm sure they'll take stock of it now, and the Solihull fans will be a lot happier than they were when them players were first announced.
I don't think they expected Joe Sabara to come back, though. I mean, ask any Solihull fan, and if they said, "Oh yeah, we knew he was coming back," you're lying.
But yeah, moving on nicely now. Although I was going to say nicely, I've now changed my mind after he's just said that Scunthorpe's next fixture is an easy one. Let's go back to Louis and let's talk about Aggie Ball and Sutton's upturning form.
Yeah, another good win for us. Another one that I saw coming. I feel quite positive about us at the moment. Some really, really exciting play from us. We dominated the game. I think we were the better side pretty much throughout. Junior Eccleston getting his first ever senior goal. It has been coming through him. I think he's been really, really good this season. Lovely cross from Rob Bonner on the left-hand side, which was drilled across the box, and he gets his reward for gambling from the full-back position and getting in the box and gets a tap in at the back post. Had a couple of other chances before what was an absolutely outstanding assist from Jennings. Jinx the players one way, jinx them another, dinks a ball over the top of them for Njoku, who just chests it down and puts it past Johnson. And we arguably could have been further ahead at half time. Had a couple of chances. Harris had a couple of chances. Halifax, I don't think, could have been any worse in the second half to start with. They came out there, had a good 15 to 20 minute spell. Obviously, got the penalty, which was saved by Reed, and I think that was the turning point in the game in the sense that they didn't really do much after that. And we looked like we were the better side and the one that was probably going to score the next goal and extend our lead. Crucial thing here is a clean sheet for us. We've had, I think it's the third of the season now, we've picked up a clean sheet and a draw against Solihull and a draw against Braintree. So it's the first time we've won with a clean sheet. And I think we will score goals under Aggie. I think that's just a definite. We've got such good attacking talent. He's brought in some really good players. Obviously, the Jennings loan is a good one. Tommy Reed's been impressive in goal. We signed a lad from Wimbledon on loan this week as well, Foyo, I think, who made his debut yesterday. And yeah, as you said, he sort of cleared out a couple of players who were on the fringes as well and sent them out on loan. But when he came in, we were 5 points adrift from safety. We're now out of the bottom four on goal difference, albeit we've had one defeat since the end of September since he came in. We scored an average of 2.1 goals per game, and I think that, as I said, there is a general improvement in the side's performance, in individual performances. And yeah, Jake Taylor has been a massive signing for us. I think his quality and leadership in the middle of the park, an unexpected signing from Eastleigh, but I think it's really, really paying dividends for us. And just having that kind of experience. Obviously, Mark wasn't a fan of our recruitment in the summer, but yeah, I think that kind of level-headedness in the middle of the park is really helping us at the moment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll jump in on this one next. 7 points from your last three. We spoke about the other week about teams down the bottom not taking the points and there being a little gap forming. Well, that gap's closing now. As we said, Sutton picking up points. Even Braintree picked up points yesterday. We'll come to that one later. And yeah, you just seem to be in a much better place. The football you were playing was free-flowing. There seems to be a confidence in the club, and confidence can win you matches, and they looked really good yesterday. So yeah, no complaints on the result here. Only that I predicted 2-1, so the penalty miss was a little bit of disappointment for the end that one. But no, they've been really good. Halifax, though, I was just looking at them. They won 5 in a row, and now they haven't won in their last 5. So they seem to be a team that's very much an up and down team, but in clusters, and they're just cementing themselves as a standard mid-table team. They're probably going to be too good to go down, but not good enough to be in the playoffs. And their next game is obviously an interesting one, where they're against Millington and their former manager. So it'll be a very interesting one. But yeah, they need to stop the rot very quickly now, as Sutton are starting to fly it, and Halifax less so. Mark?
Well, if nobody's going to sing it, I will. Aggie, Aggie, Aggie. Oi, oi, oi. Excellent. I did say about Sutton's recruitment, I was highly critical of it, and I still am, that they were letting quality pass them by. Thank God they've got a manager in now who has identified where the problems lay, and he's gone out there and he's brought in the quality, and that is what is helping them get out of this relegation battle. The Junior Eccleston, I've heard the name mentioned, but definitely one for the future, you might think. Halifax, it's hard to say. I mean, are they going to be this year's strangest team? Because no sooner do we get henpecked by the Halifax fans, one person in particular, Craig, about not giving them enough praise, and when we do, they go and do this. So, sometimes our views are justified here, but Sutton, they're getting out of it. They've got a very bright manager who has plugged the problems, hopefully. Let's not put the cart before the horse here, but he has gone out there and he has made some real good signings. Real good signings that are going to save them rather than actually cause them to go down. But Halifax, yeah, they need to stop what they're doing by winning 5, losing 5. Get a bit of consistency, because the playoffs aren't far away. But if they lose another one, they'll be a galaxy apart.
Just a quick thing on Aggie as well. Obviously, he's quite a different character to previous manager Morrison. Obviously, he doesn't have to show how he was, but Morrison never really engaged with the fans as much. But Aggie's really built up a good rapport with the fans. He comes over after every game. He speaks to a lot of them. He's really embedded himself in kind of the Sutton way. And I think that really helped him sort of get in touch with the fans and get his feet under the door quicker, I think. And there was a really nice touch he did, because one of our supporters was in hospital recently, and he personally phoned her for a period of time while she was in hospital. So yeah, he just seems like a really nice bloke, really down to earth, and really cares about the club. So yeah, really special guy. And yeah, he's doing everything right at the moment, and long may it continue.
Yeah, it's them personal touches that when you do lose 1-0 or lose 2-0, people will be a little bit more forgiving of you, because they've seen the human side of you effectively. But yeah, moving on to my favourite game of the weekend, surprise, where where Braintree, we won a game. We won a game, lads. It has been a long time coming, but thankfully for us, it came against another relegation side down there in Truro, and it had the feeling of a massive game, and it had the feeling for a long time that it was going to be another one of them games for Braintree where we just missed chances after chances. I don't know if anyone's seen the Mane Amore miss where they've hit their own, Truro flicked it on and hit their own post, and it's come to him about 3-4 yards out, and he skied it, and I couldn't believe it on commentary. No one could believe it in the stadium. There's like a moment of silence in there, and he just laid in the floor in a heap, just praying for the ground to eat him up. He then later hit the crossbar as well, still at 0-0, and we're just beginning to think it's one of them days. And then that misery for us was compounded when we've won a penalty. Babic fouled in the box. He looked really bright yesterday, and James Vennings telegraphed his penalty to the goalkeeper. It was right, and it was comfortably saved by Lavercombe, and it just felt like, oh, not this again. And then thankfully for us, we had some inspiration. Now we've signed J. Emmanuel Thomas. We could talk about the non-footballing issues that he's had and everything in previous years, but we're a footballing podcast at the end of the day, so we talk about what he brought on the pitch more than anything else in there. And he brought a creativity, he brought a spark that had probably been missing for us. And when the ball was placed 25 yards out, I asked for him to be the man to come and whip it in the top corner. I'm gutted that the Zone didn't put that in their commentary, because about 10 seconds before I said, I've got a good feeling here that he's going to bend this left foot into the top corner. And that's exactly what he done. And it just gave us lift off. There was then suddenly just this newfound positive energy around the stadium, and the fans were up, the bench was up, the players. It just felt that togetherness that probably hadn't been there because of the defeats and the defeats at Chelmsford and all those kind of things that wasn't there. And then Big John Akinde bullied two defenders from a long, hopeful ball that was just kind of trying to get the ball out of our defensive thirds, and he's bullied two of them. And then it's a lovely composed finish. If you watch that finish, you'd be shocked to hear that he hadn't scored in the first 18 league games of the season, to be honest with you. He's just lifted it beautifully over the goalkeeper, and then there was a bit of pandemonium in the corner. You could see players were delighted for him. They know he's had a tough time. And it was interesting listening to Steve Pitt in the thing. He said Akinde's 35, 36 now. He'd done a hamstring injury at the end of last season, and he says he hadn't really recovered from it, but he'd had to keep throwing him in because we didn't have many other options. And actually taking him out the firing line with Sahid Kamara and Terrell Work starting the game, and Shea Cooper previously, was probably a blessing in disguise for John, a blessing that he probably wasn't so happy with at the time, getting taken out the firing line, but it may have done him the world of good. And now he's got his first league goal as well, and hopefully onwards and upwards. Scunthorpe away on Saturday, the Battle of the Iron, and it'll be an interesting one because they're coming back off a really poor result, and we're coming off a good one. And so many times for Braintree, it's been the opposite way round. And then Morecambe the week afterwards. So hopefully the start of us climbing out and bringing the likes of Gateshead and Yeovil closer to that relegation zone, while us and Louis' team start picking up points, because if not, Dan might be here on his own next year. Who wants to take this one next? Mark, you want to say loads of positive stuff about Braintree for me?
Well, yeah, much needed. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, J. Emmanuel Thomas was playing in the FA Cup up at Mac in the 6-3 defeat, and now
He's
good.
Also playing in the Ballers League on Monday night.
He's also playing in the Ballers League on Monday night. Oh, what the Ballers League! Brilliant, absolute. Yeah, the pits of YouTube football, but there we are. But yes, Emmanuel Thomas, could it be the inspired signing? Is that the one that Braintree have been looking for? As you say, whatever he's done off the pitch, we're not here to discuss that. Everybody knows, and well, nobody cares now, really, especially the Braintree fans after he scored a terrific goal. Vennings missing the penalty didn't seem so bad, but the hero of the hour, Big John Akinde, he's had his critics, and I'm looking at one right now. But, yes, you. God, respect to the big man. Respect to the big man. I mean, it could be the confidence that he needs, but if he could borrow some confidence to Truro, I mean, they are just concreted at the bottom. I have seen a few of the Truro fans getting restless with John Askey now. Please don't do that. You're already in a crisis. Don't create another one. But they've got to do something quickly.
The thing
Otherwise,
that surprised me most there, Mark, was obviously we know Tyler Harvey's coming back from injury, so him not
he's a big loss.
only just coming off the bench last couple of games made sense. But Dominic Johnson-Fisher just sat on the bench for 90 minutes yesterday, and that there might be more than I know to that one, but that was a bit of a surprise.
Yeah,
he had quite a good October and was voted Player of the Month, and now he's
yes, by a very enthusiastic member of the public, I might add. But apparently John played 3 at the back with 2 wing backs, and that's not my favourite formation at all. I mean, I'll always be a traditional 4-4-2 man. I mean, wing backs will only do you so much.
Yeah, I think they were matching each other up. That's what we're playing at the moment as well.
Yeah, which to me is pointless. I mean, why? You don't look at your opposition and go, do you know what? We'll play exactly the same as them. Do something different. Tamworth do it. Tamworth are an absolute box of tricks. You don't know what's going to come out. Is it a rabbit? Is it a bunch of flowers? You don't know. Be more like Tamworth, people. But yeah, it's getting pretty desperate for Truro. But and if Braintree's music collection does not have Jet by Paul McCartney and Wings for Emmanuel Thomas, then yeah, the person who does your PA needs sacking.
I'll put a request in.
Beautiful.
Louis, any beautiful words to say about my side this week?
Yeah, of course. It was just a must not lose for either of you, was it? And obviously Truro have come out on the wrong side of it. As you said, you dominated, I think, the game, and I think it was a deserved victory. For you. Clean sheet's obviously important as well. I think defensively, if you keep a clean sheet, you've always got yourself at least a point, obviously, and you get yourself a chance of winning the game. Obviously, the Emmanuel Thomas one, just gloss over it. It's such a strange one. So I don't think he's had that great a season at Tottenham from what I've seen either. So I don't. It's just sort of
he was on the bench at Mac.
Yeah, so I guess it
was due to relocation and with his bail, obviously he has to be had to be issues with his relocation. So I think we originally looked at Sutton. They said there was conversations when he first came out of jail, but it wasn't right. So he seems to have been on Steve Pitt's radar for a while, and now he's wanted to relocate back. I think as part of the terms of his bail, he has to have a club and all those kind of things to be able to relocate back. So it seemed like it's a right fit for both teams at the right time. Then maybe it wasn't 6 months ago when we had Kyrell Lisby and Jermaine Francis and Kyrese Lisby as well at times, who's flying at Colchester, by the way. So it just seems to be the right fit at the right time. And if he keeps bending free kicks in from 25 yards, we'll have him for as long as he wants.
That's never going to be a Football Manager reason for someone getting a transfer request, is it? I mean, from Turo's point of view, yeah, as you said, it's a really rotten month for them so far. They've lost, 3 games without scoring now. All those defeats have come against sides either at the bottom or in the bottom half, so it's really, really tough for them. And looking ahead for them, obviously they don't pick up many points away. I can't see them picking up many again. They've got Hartlepool, York, Forest Green, and Southend in the next 4 home away games. 4 away games, sorry, got a tongue twist there. But their next 2 home games until the end of the year are Sutton and Yeovil. So yeah, they have to get 6 points. Yeah, they've got to get 6 points out of them.
That is 100%. There next week.
If they don't get 6 points out of them, I think it's night Vienna. Yeah, I think they'll be gone. Which would be sad because obviously they're kind of the sweetheart of the league, I think, for a lot of people, given the history, given the story and everything. But yeah, big games for them coming up.
Absolutely, massive games at the top of the bottom every single week, and isn't that just why we love the National League? There were 6 games that didn't make a deep dive this week, so it's Louis' turn. So crack on with your 6 in 6, mate.
Yeah, so the first one I've got is Altrincham 2, Brackley 1. So it's 3 wins on the bounce now for Altley, sort of turning the tide, getting away from the bottom 3. Gale opened the scoring with his first goal of the season before Crawford had the second just after half time. Connor Hall added the consolation in the 96th minute for Brackley, and they're in a bit of a sticky patch as well at the moment. It's 1 win in 8 for them, 4 points from the drop now, but they've got a big game against Morecambe next week, so they need to get something out of that, I think. Otherwise, they could be sliding towards one of those teams that the likes of Braintree and Sutton will be aiming to catch and drag back into the relegation scrap. Next one we got was the former league leaders, Carlisle, dropping points at home to Eastleigh. They drew 1-1. Luamba gave Carlisle the lead just after half-time. Another assist from Chris Clark. 5 assists in 6 games for him now. He's really flying at the moment. Carlisle will hope that Luke Williams won't want to take him back to Peterborough after he's been appointed. I know Mark mentioned that on the previous podcast. Evans got the equaliser in the final minute for Eastleigh. It's a welcome point for them after back-to-back defeats. And that's obviously a bonus point for them, so probably wouldn't have expected to get anything from Carlisle. Long journey, tough place to go, but a good point for Eastleigh. Next one I've got is another 1-1 draw. Hartlepool 1, Wealdstone 1. This game was all over after 5 minutes. All of the supporters may as well left in the 6th minute because both goals came early on. Alex Reed's first goal in 10 games gave Hartlepool the lead in the 3rd minute. And then I'm going to do my best Paul Merson impression here. Tishikuna for Wealdstone 3 minutes later. Lovely curling finish into the top corner. It's a lovely finish. If anybody hasn't seen it, I advise they see it. And that's how it ended. Finished 1-1, point apiece with both sides. Probably Wealdstone are happier with the point, taking it away on the road. And after a bit of poor form, Hartlepool have sort of stabilised. So it's 2 wins and 3 draws since in their last 5 games. But they're still yet to appoint a manager since sacking Simon Grayson. So need to get a move on with that, I think. Next one we've got is Rochdale 1, Aldershot 0. Coming off the back of a heavy defeat against York, this is exactly what Rochdale needed. A first league home game for Rochdale since the 18th of October. Obviously, we all know their problems with their pitch. Harvey Gilmore's first of the season on 65 minutes was the only goal of the game. Aldershot hadn't had a league win in 2 months now, so the last one they had was the 20th of September, 1 point in a possible 27 for them. So they're really, really struggling, obviously, now in the bottom 4 as well. The win has moved Rochdale up to 2nd, 1 point off Forest Green in top with a game in hand, or 2 games in hand, I believe. I can't remember off the top of my head. Another 1-1, Woking 1, Boston 1. Harry Buteman opened the scoring in 33 minutes. Liam Waldock pegged it back on the hour mark. Woking, as we've mentioned before, picked up a bit of form now, unbeaten in the last 7, but they're yet to win at home since the 6th of September when they thrashed Gateshead 5-0. Boston, as we said, are a bag of chocolates. You don't know what you're going to get from them. They're just randomly picking up points. Obviously, the win at Tamworth, a point yesterday, is just doing enough to keep their head above the relegation dogfight for now. But if they start losing a few on the bounce, they might be dragged back into it. And then the last one was Yeovil 0, Southend 1. So somewhat of a needed win for Southend, having not won on 2. But yeah, late show again for them. 5th injury time goal in their last 5 games. Slavy Spazov gets his 4th goal of the season. So gets the 3 points for the travelling support right in front of them. Would be a cracking away end, I think, and a good journey home for them. No win in 7 for Yeovil, so another team that the teams at the bottom can look to chase down. Only 2 goals scored in that time, and they are 4 points clear of relegation, and they've got Morecambe up next as well. So they've got a big game coming that they need to get a result out of, and that is wrapped up. That is that.
Yeah, no, that's brilliant. That was just under 4 minutes, so great job there. Really, really good. Just moving on now, we'll just quickly recap the predictions. So the 2 men I'm doing with today are absolutely flying this week. Louis got 20 points. We've still got, of course, Brackley, Morecambe versus Brackley to come. Louis got 20 points with Forest Green 3-1 and Hartlepool versus Wealdstone 1-1 perfect predictions, which Mark also predicted the Hartlepool Wealdstone one, and he also predicted Altrincham to win 2-1. So hopefully he'll still be allowed in at Macclesfield despite predicting Altrincham.
No, good old egging, you know.
But yeah, Louis on 20, Mark on 18, myself on 12, Dan on 10, and Frank Newble just picking up the 4 points. Although I've got to give him a little bit of credit, he was the only one of us to predict Braintree to win this week. So he's always
good. 20 quid we slipped in to get a poor set of results so we could climb up the table, went and spent well, isn't it?
Absolutely. We've obviously, as I said, got Morecambe versus Brackley. I believe Louis and Mark are the only 2 that can win the week now. Louis got 3-1 to Morecambe, and Mark's got a 1-1 draw. So any draw will put Mark level, and a 1-1 will put him top and winning just his 2nd week in 19. So there's still hope for you, Mark.
Pretty dreadful in the grander scheme of things, really, isn't it?
But maybe it's a new haircut, new better predictions, mate. So,
well, new haircut, same old face.
But no, there's not much more for us to add today. So it's a pleasure speaking to you both as always. I'll never get bored of talking National League with you both. As we said, Dan's going to be off for a little while. He's currently on a cruise around the Canary Islands, so we're very jealous. So if he does listen in, hope you're having a great time, mate. And for all the viewers and listeners, it's been nice of you to join us again, and we hope to hear you all again soon. Thank you very much. Have a good evening.